أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا الأمجد الأحمد المحمود أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة وسفينة النجاة الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. The Holy Prophet Muhammad has said, surely Hussain is the beacon of guidance and the ark of salvation. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, the Supreme King in whose hands is the sustenance of all things created, the ultimate owner and creator of all that is within the heavens and the earth, the most merciful one who, despite the countless faults of his servants, is most merciful, most quick to forgive. Countless peace and blessings upon Muhammad and his holy Ahlul Bayt, the divinely appointed guides of salvation for all of humanity in all places and in all times, these beacons of wisdom, truth, and justice for all the universe. We are here tonight, dear friends, to commemorate the martyrdom of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, his family and his companions. It is the 10th of Muharram. The persona of Imam Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salam is a universal persona, and there is so very much which we can learn in today's time from the persona of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, his family and his companions. Imam Hussain is a refreshing rain of truth in a desert of oppression. Imam Hussain's knowledge and wisdom, generosity and mercy is wider than the 7 heavens. He lived in one of the most oppressive times under the Umayyad dynasty, whom eventually left him, his family and his companions stranded in the lands of Karbala, hungry and thirsty, and then martyred them with swords and stones, arrows and lances, because they stood up against oppression and falsehood. Let us take a journey together, dear friends, through the attributes of Karbala, and see who are these beacons of light which can save our dark world, these glorious beacons of truth, compassion and determination, steadfastness on the path of Allah. This Imam Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salam and his companions. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. We find in the Amali of Shaykh Saduq a narration from the 8th divinely appointed Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salam, where he says, O son of Shabib, should you weep for Hussain in the measure that tears roll down your cheeks, Allah will forgive all the sins committed by you, whether they be great sins or small sins, and whether they be meager or immense. Allahu Akbar, dear friends. What a beautiful tradition from the blessed lips of a ma'soom, from the blessed lips of an infallible Imam of the Ahlul Bayt. And all praise be to Allah that He has blessed us with this honor. He has graced us with this honor to weep over Imam Hussain alayhi salam. A noble weeping, a great weeping, which erases great and small sins altogether. But we must keep in mind, dear friends, that to truly cry and weep for Imam Hussain alayhi salam means to follow in his footsteps. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us steadfast upon the holy footsteps of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Steadfastness on the path of Allah. In tonight's session, dear friends, we talk about the attribute of remaining steadfast upon the path of Allah. Now, tonight's session, as far as the speech is concerned, I want to keep it short, and it is short, because I want to spend more time tonight on this 10th of Muharram, on the Masa'ib of Imam Hussain, the Musibah of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. It is true, dear brothers and sisters, that in today's age and time, it is difficult to remain steadfast upon the path of Allah. But I assure you that all the trials and tribulations, all the difficulties and hardships are nothing compared to what the history of Islam has witnessed. And we learn from the history of Islam that all those who remained steadfast upon the path of Allah have always been eternally victorious. We see the trials of the early era of Islam when the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was ridiculed and he was pelted with stones, but he still remained steadfast upon the path of Allah, and he was eternally victorious. We see that in the hunger and the thirst of the 3-year-long Shayb Abi Talib, these sanctions that were put on Hazrat Abu Talib and his family, on the Prophet Muhammad and his family, when the Muslims would have to eat the leaves of trees and they would have to buy water to drink. They remained steadfast upon the path of Allah, and they too were eternally victorious. We see that the Muhajir, the people who migrated to Medina from Mecca, when they arrived to Medina, they had no jobs, they had no homes, they had nothing. But they remained steadfast upon the path of Allah, and they too were eternally victorious. We see, dear friends, that despite usurpers stole the Khilafah, and Imam Ali alayhi salam still, despite these trials and tribulations, he remained steadfast on the path of Allah, and he too was eternally victorious. And finally, we see that despite the grief and tragedy, despite the difficulty that was witnessed during the time of Imam Hussan alayhi salam, and despite the deceit which was committed against Imam Hussan, he remained steadfast upon the path of Allah, and he too was eternally victorious. And of course, finally, we reach the hero of tonight, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We see that despite the grief and the tragedy, despite the difficulties and the hardship, despite the hunger and the thirst, despite the trials and tribulations at the heights of that they were, Hussain remains steadfast upon the path of Allah, and he too is eternally victorious. Hussain remained steadfast upon the path of Allah, and most surely Allah loves those who remain steadfast upon His divine path. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. Remaining steadfast upon the path of Allah. We have seen all of these trials and tribulations, these difficulties and these hardships, which the Muslims and the Imams and the Holy Prophet had to witness. Difficult times, but they remained steadfast upon the path of Allah. And because they remained steadfast upon the path of Allah, this is why they are eternally victorious. We too, dear brothers and sisters, must remain steadfast upon the path of Allah, despite the trials and tribulations and difficulties and hardships. Dear brothers and sisters, dear fellow mourners of Imam Hussain, dear Azadar of Imam Hussain, his family and his companions, here we conclude tonight's session. Remaining steadfast upon the path of Allah is one of the integral attributes in Karbala, and despite the trials and tribulations which we face in our lives, if we remain steadfast upon the path of Allah, we will surely overcome all trials and tribulations, and we too will be eternally victorious. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. The 10th of Muharram. The 10th of Muharram. Dear brothers and sisters, we reach the elegy, the Masa'ib, the Musibah of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, his companions, his family. We have been opening our hearts for the last 9 days. On this night of the 10th, let us too open our hearts, close our eyes from all that is fake and unreal. Let us be flown away to the land of Karbala. In some cultures, in order to show grieving, people roll up their sleeves. People open their collars. Allahu Akbar, tonight we grieve a very serious grieving. Tonight is the night before the day of Ashura. Can you see the darkness of the night? Can you hear the cries of the children who have been thirsty for 3 days? Can you sense anxiety and worry in the air? Can you see the army of thousands waiting to kill Hussain? Can you smell the blood of the martyrs on the sands of Karbala? What do you think of and who do you think of, dear brothers and sisters, when you think about remaining steadfast upon the path of Allah? Yes, most surely all of the companions of Imam Hussain were steadfast upon the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But of all the people on the side of Allah in the land of Karbala, it is Imam Hussain alayhi salam who stands front and center when it comes to remaining steadfast upon the path of Allah. Ashura, dear brothers and sisters, has come to the land of Karbala. Ali Akbar has given his last adhan. Everyone in Imam Hussein's camp has prayed their prayers, their fajr. The night before Ashura, they spent all their night in the worship and obedience of Allah, in the recitation of the Holy Quran. The morning has come. The prayer has been prayed, and Yazid's men blew their trumpets to start the battle. The battle has begun. One by one, dear friends, Hussein's companions, Hussein's family members, they went to the battlefield and they gave their lives for Islam. In Karbala, you see, Habib ibn Mazahir lies there, Muslim ibn Awsaja lies there, Zuhair ibn Qayn lies there, Hur lies there. Dear friends, Joan lies there. By the time of Zohr, all the friends and the companions of Imam Hussain have been martyred. Aun and Muhammad, Lady Zainab's young sons, they went to the battlefield and they were martyred. Farwa's young son, the orphan Qasim, he went to the battlefield and was martyred, and he was trampled by horses. Abbas could not bear the sad cries of Al-Atash, Al-Atash, thirst. Oh, thirst from his beloved niece, from the children, from Ruqayya, from Sakina, from the innocent children who were thirsty. Abbas, he went to get water, but he did not return. His arms were cut off. Ali Akbar, the copy of the Holy Prophet, went to the battlefield and was martyred with a dreadful wound upon his chest. Since dawn, Hussain has carried 72 bodies from the battlefield back to his camp. Hussain was thirsty, Hussain was tired, Hussain was heartbroken, but he remained steadfast on the path of Allah like a glorious mountain. Patience was Hussein's worship, and sacrifice to save Islam was Hussein's goal. All Hussain was worried about was saving Islam. By the time of Asr, Hussain has left with his baby Ali Asghar and his son Sayyid al-Sajjad, Imam Zainul Abidin. Ali Asghar was very thirsty. Ali Asghar threw himself out from the cradle, so Hussain took his baby son to get some water. Ali Asghar, this young soldier of Hussain, he didn't get any water. Instead, he got an arrow upon his neck. Imam Hussain and Rubab, they dug a small grave themselves together. They buried Ali Asghar. Oh, our oppressed Imam, Ya Hussain Madloom, afflicted with so much suffering. In just one day, so many dead in just one day. Imam Hussain, he stood in the center of his camp and he proclaims, my salam to you Zainab, my salam to you Kulthum, my salam to you Ruqayya, my salam to you Sakina, my salam to you Rubab, my salam to you Layla, my salam to you Farwa, my salam to you Amma Fidda, my farewell to you all the ladies of this small group of Hussein's followers gathered around Hussein. They cried as they said their last farewells to Hussein. Imam Hussein says, Zainab, take me to my son Zainul Abidin. Take me to Sayyid al-Sajjad. Zainab, let me say fi amanillah to my son. Let me say farewell to my son Hussein. And Zainab, they went to Imam Zainul Abidin's tent. Imam Sajjad was laying unconscious on his bed. Lady Zainab shook his shoulder and said, son Sajjad, your father has come to see you. Imam Sajjad opens his eyes. He sees his father who is wearing these white robes, but Hussein's white robes were stained with the blood of the martyrs. Everywhere on his clothes there was the blood of the shuhada. My son Sajjad, Hussein says, I have come to say farewell. I am going to the battlefield. Baba, why are you going to the battlefield? Where is Habib ibn Mazahir? Qutil, my son, Habib has been killed. Baba, Baba, oh my father, Aina Abbas, where is Uncle Abbas? Qutil, my son, Abbas has been killed. Baba, oh father, Aina Ali Akbar, where is Ali Akbar? Qad Qutil, Ali Akbar has been killed, my son. Tears poured down Hussein and Zainab's eyes as they talked about Ali Akbar. Oh, Ya Hussein, Sajjad, don't ask me about anyone else. My son, everyone is dead except for you and me. They have sacrificed their lives to save Islam. Ya Hussein, Sayyid al-Sajjad, this brave son of Hussein, he tries to get up from his bed. He is ill. He is shaking. He says, Aunt Zainab, give me my sword. I will go to the battlefield. I will save my father's life. Hussein says, no, Sajjad, you are too ill for jihad. Sajjad, your jihad is still to come. And I say, O Sajjad, truly your jihad is still to come, for Sham-e-Ghariba is still to come. O Sajjad, earrings are still to be stolen. O Sajjad, the heads are still to be put on lances. O Sajjad, the enemy's whips are still to come. O Sajjad, Kufa is still to come. O Sajjad, the markets are still to come. O Sajjad, the stones from the rooftops are still to be thrown. O Sajjad, the whips are still to come. O Sajjad, Sham is still to come. O Sajjad, the audience in front of tyrants is still to come. O Sajjad, the prison in Sham is still to come. Imam Hussain continues, Sajjad, you have a lot of work to do after my death. You will face many hardships and many sufferings. Sajjad, stay on the truth path. Sajjad, do not be afraid to fight for truth and justice. Sajjad, be patient. Sajjad, patience at all times. My son, Allah is with the people who remain patient. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Imam Hussain continues, my son, when you reach Medina, convey my salam to all my friends, convey my salam to my Shias. Sajjad, do tell them that Hussein died for truth and justice. And my son, don't forget to tell my Shias to remember me when they drink water. Farewell, O my son. Imam Hussain and Lady Zainab, they left the tent. Sister Zainab, my last will to you. Zainab, I am leaving you in charge of this caravan. Zainab, take care of Sajjad. Zainab, oh my sister, I am leaving Imamat under your protection. Zainab, my sister, look after my Sakina. She will cry a lot after my death. My daughters will cry after my death. Tears flowed down Imam Hussein's eyes as he spoke about Sakina. Zainab, be patient. Farewell to you, O Zainab. O Hussain, your Zainab has fulfilled her oath and has showed all of eternity the meaning of patience. Imam Hussain walks to his horse. Imam Hussain had helped everyone to mount their horse, dear friends, but now Hussain is all alone. There is no one to help him mount his horse. Lady Zainab sees her brother in this difficulty. She sees Hussain trying to get on his horse. She sees that there is no one to help Hussain. Zainab says, Hussain, bring your horse near to my tent. My brother, you are not alone. I will help you. Lady Zainab held the reins of Imam Hussain as he mounted the horse Zuljana. Zuljana then moves a few steps forward towards the battlefield, and it stops. Dear brothers and sisters, Hussain gently strokes this horse's neck and he says, my faithful horse, I know you are thirsty. I know you are tired. You have been helping me carry the bodies from the battlefield since dawn. My faithful horse, my loyal horse, for the last time, take me to the battlefield. I will not bother you after this. Zuljana, let us go. It is now time. With tears in his eyes, this horse turns his neck around and he looks down, and Imam Hussain so turns around and he sees, what does he see? He sees it is beloved daughter Sakina clinging to the horse's legs. Sakina, only about 4 years old. Sakina, who loved Hussain like Fatima loved Hussain. Dear friends, Sakina is the Abiha of Hussain. Sakina, the delight of Hussein's heart. Sakina, the comfort of Hussein's heart. Little Sakina, she was crying and she was saying, O horse, do not take my father away. You will not bring my father back. Since dawn, everyone who has gone to the battlefield has not come back. Please, Zuljana, do not take my father away. I won't be able to live without my father. What a tragic scene, brothers and sisters. A father saying farewell to his small daughter. Can you imagine? Can you fathom? A small daughter saying farewell to her father. Hussain gets off his horse and says, my darling Sakina, do not cry, my love. Did you not give me permission to go? My darling, go and recite du'as with your aunt and your mother. Your grandmother Fatima is waiting for me. Hussain says, Sakina, you are the great granddaughter of the Holy Prophet. I love you so much that if you tell me not to go, I might not go. But then Islam will be destroyed. How will you or I be able to face the Holy Prophet on the day of judgment? Sakina would have said, Baba, I am so used to sleeping on your chest every night. Tell me, Father, how will I go to sleep without you, Father? Oh, Baba, one last request. Please let me lie down on your chest one last time. Let me listen to your beating heart. Hussain would have laid down on the hot sands of Karbala, and Sakina would have put her little head on her father's chest. She would hear her Baba's heartbeat for one last time, and then Sakina would say, Go, Baba, go. Go and save Islam. Hussain mounted his horse and he headed for the battlefield, thirsty, tired, wounded, and heartbroken. But Hussain, he was no coward. He was a brave and strong man. He was steadfast upon the path of Allah. Hussain was the son of Ali. Hussain was the son of Fatima. Hussain was the son of Muhammad. Hussain, he stood upon a hill and he proclaimed out loud, Who is there who will come to my aid? Hussain isn't expecting any of the enemy soldiers to come to his help. To who is he addressing, dear brothers and sisters? Hussain is addressing this call of his to all the Muslims in every age and in every place, young and old, men and women, elderly and children, rich and poor, urging us to always fight Yazidism and to refuse to disobey the commands of Allah at all costs, to remain steadfast upon the path of Allah. Every little effort that we make to preserve and act according to our Islamic laws and Islamic conscience is a response to our Imam with Labbaik ya Hussain, Labbaik ya Mahdi. Then, brothers and sisters, Hussain rides to the enemy. He rides and charges towards the enemy. There is a shower of hundreds of arrows flying towards Hussain. Hussain ignores these arrows and continues to ride on. He wants to make one last effort to preach the true Muhammadan Islam to the enemies of Islam. He stops and he turns towards the enemy and he begins to speak. "O those of you who do not know me, know that I am the grandson of the Holy Prophet. I am on the path of truth. Yazid, he personifies falsehood and corruption. He wants to lead you away from Islam. Don't follow him. Don't kill the grandson of Allah's messenger. Allah will never forgive you. Remember that when you see a ruler who does what has been forbidden by Allah and his messenger, one who indulges in sins, who oppresses the people he rules, and you do nothing to stop such a ruler, before Allah, you are as guilty as he is." Hussain continues, "You know my ancestry. My parents did not raise me to submit myself to an evil tyrant. I am your imam. You have surrendered your freedom of mind to the evil ways of Yazid. If you don't care for Islam, do at least care for the freedom of your spirits." Umar ibn Sa'ad yells out, "Do not fall victim to Hussein's oratory. Go and kill him from all directions." The soldiers advance towards Hussain with their swords in hand. And so Hussain says, "If you are determined to fight me, then fight you I shall, for I do not fear death. Death to me is sweeter than dishonor. Now I shall show you the valor of the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib." Imam Hussain alayhi salam takes out his Zulfiqar and he begins to fight. He fights, but how is his fight, dear friends? He is thirsty, he is tired, he is wounded, he is grieving. He lost all of his love and his companions and his friends in the matter of a few hours. But Hussain fights as no one has ever seen anyone fight. Wherever he turns, the soldiers of Yazid flee in terror from the power and the might of Hussain. This one Hussain who was thirsty and tired and wounded and grieving. Hussain fought the battle with his greatest might. One by one, Hussain kills the best warriors of Yazid's army. The enemy was pushed back by this mighty Hussain. Our great Imam fought like a lion. No one dared come near Hussain. And finally, Hussain reaches the banks of the river Furat, the river Euphrates. He sees Abbas lying there and he says, "Abbas, my brother, Abbas, did you see me fight? Abbas, did you see my jihad? I was thirsty. I was grieving. I was wounded. I was tired. But did you see my jihad? My brother, how I wish you were here with me. We would have fought this battle together next to each other." And so if the angel Jibra'il, he appears in the sky and he says, "Ya Hussain, Allah is surely pleased with your bravery. Hussain, the time has come to put down your sword. The moment has now arrived for you to save Islam with your life. Come to us, Hussain. We are waiting for you." Imam Hussain hears the command of Allah. He sheathes his sword and the enemy sees that Hussain has sheathed his sword. They come back and they start to attack Hussain from all sides. Hussain was shot by countless arrows. Hussain was attacked with sharp swords. Hussain was struck with long spears. And the people who didn't have any weapons, they threw stones at the blessed head of Hussain. Allahu Akbar. Hussain with hundreds of wounds, both in his heart and on his body. Hussain had so much blood flowing out of his countless wounds that he could no longer stay on his horse. Hussain falls from his horse onto the sands of Karbala. But it is related that the blessed body of Hussain didn't touch the ground, for our Hussain is covered with arrows. Ya Allah, a black slave from Yazid's army, he comes towards Hussain. He has a dagger in his hands. He wants to cut off Imam Hussein's head from his holy body. Imam Hussain, he looks at this slave and he says, my friend, you look so much like Bilal, the Holy Prophet's companion. Have you prayed your Dhuhr Salat? This slave throws away his dagger and he runs off screaming, what am I doing? How can I cut off this man's head? Such a pious man, he is dying, but he still remembers to remind me of Salat. And then Shimr, the most evil of Yazid's men, he walks towards Hussain. He has a big dagger in his hand. Hussain then makes a request of Shimr. Hussain says, oh Shimr, I know your intention. I ask you to give me some time to do two sajda. Hussain does his first sajda on this musalla of arrows. Ya Allah, all praise is to you and to you alone. Hussain lifts his head, and then when he wants to perform his second sajda, he goes down in his second sajda, but Shimr didn't let Hussain lift his head from this sajda. The dagger comes down on the blessed neck, but it is related that one strike was not enough. It took multiple strikes of this dagger. The earth trembles, the sky turns black, the sun is eclipsed, and Jibreel cries out, Hussain has been killed in Karbala. Hussain has been killed in Karbala. Sukina falls to the ground unconscious. Lady Zainab runs to the tent of our fourth Imam. Ya Sajjad, what has happened? Imam Zainul Abidin walks towards the curtain of his tent. He lifts up the curtain. He points his finger at a blessed head mounted upon a spear, and he cries out in a trembling voice, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abd. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ya Allah, at the end, here on this night of the 10th of Muharram, we raise our humble hands after this masa'ib of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and we pray to you, O the one who is most quick to respond, the one who is most quick to listen and answer our prayers. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, please accept all of the prayers that we have done in these 10 nights. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, bihaqqi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, help us to remain steadfast on your path. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, bihaqqi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, protect and hasten the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi, and help us to be from among his first supporters, his true and sincere supporters, his faithful, brave and loyal supporters. Ya Allah, endow us with the blessing of seeing Imam al-Mahdi, and Ya Allah, help us to be martyred in his holy cause. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjil farajahum.